There comes a time in every parent's life when the voices of our children grow quieter, not in volume, but in response. You call, and they don't answer. You offer advice, and it floats into silence. You speak, but they seem to be somewhere else, somewhere far from the lessons you once poured your heart into. It's a pain that cuts deeper than words, isn't it? If you've ever sat by the window and wondered why the calls don't come as often, why the conversations feel shorter, or why your wisdom seems to fall on deaf ears, this message is for you. Because you are not alone. Millions of older parents feel this ache every day, behind smiles, behind strong faces. But before you give up on being heard, listen to this. Today, we're going to talk about something no one really prepares us for. What to remember when your children no longer listen like they used to. Not out of spite, not always out of neglect, but because life has shifted and so must we. And if you've ever felt the sting of silence from someone you raised, someone you love, leave a comment below and share your story. You may just find someone else feeling the same. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, where we reflect, remember, and sometimes just breathe together. Now let's begin, shall we? There was a man named Walter, 81 years old, widowed, and living alone in the same house where he raised 3 children. Every Sunday for over a decade, his family would gather for dinner, chicken pot pie, mashed potatoes, laughter echoing through the walls. But then one Sunday, his eldest son called and said, "We're busy this weekend." The next week, no call. The week after, just a text. One by one, those Sunday dinners turned quiet. The chairs remained empty, and Walter found himself eating alone, looking at the clock, hoping someone might still show up. He didn't lash out. He didn't complain. But one day, he wrote a letter, not out of bitterness, but clarity. He wrote, "I know your lives are full. I don't need all of your time. Just one moment now, and then, to hear how you are. Not because I'm old, but because I'm still your father." Weeks passed. One evening, there was a knock. His youngest daughter stood there, tears in her eyes, holding a bag of groceries. "I forgot," she said, "but I remember now." You see, sometimes children forget, not out of cruelty, but because the world pulls them in too many directions. They forget that the people who were once their anchors still need to feel the tide of love return. If you're a parent who knows the pain of empty chairs and unanswered calls, share your own Walter moment in the comments. Have you tried to reach out? What did you say? What happened next? Your story might help someone else feel a little less invisible. And remember to stay with us. What comes next might change how you see the silence. Imagine this. You're sitting in your favorite chair, the one that's molded to the shape of your back after decades of comfort. It's 5:12 p.m. Your hand reaches instinctively for the phone. You consider calling your son, but then you hesitate. You tell yourself, he's probably working late. She's probably dealing with the kids. I don't want to be a burden. So, you put the phone down, and dinner is quiet. Again. Now flip the scene. Imagine you're your child, 38 years old, juggling a job, 2 kids, bills that never stop coming, and a partner who's barely sleeping. Every day is a blur. You glance at your phone and see a missed call from Dad. You think, I'll call him back tonight. But tonight never comes. This is the reality so many families live in, not because of a lack of love, but a lack of pause. Your children may still love you deeply, but life, in all its noisy urgency, has crowded their minds. And here's the hard truth. They may not even realize the silence they're leaving behind. They don't hear the quiet you sit in. They don't know that each missed call is a missed moment they'll one day wish they hadn't skipped. Now think about this. Have you ever stopped yourself from calling your child because you didn't want to interrupt? Share it in the comments. Have you ever waited for them to reach out, only to realize they might be waiting too? You are not alone. If you're finding this video speaking to your heart, stay with me. Because what comes next will help you understand what's really happening in their minds and yours. There's something deeply human about wanting to be heard, especially by those we've sacrificed everything for. But when your child no longer listens like before, it feels like a wall has gone up. A wall built brick by brick with every unanswered call, every dismissed opinion, every time they say, "I know, Mom," or "I've got it, Dad," and walk away. But let's take a step back and ask, why does this happen? Psychologists call it role reversal perception. As adult children grow, their brains naturally shift toward independence and autonomy. It's not just emotional, it's neurological. Studies show that by the age of 30, most people begin to redefine their parents' advice as optional, not essential. Not because they no longer value it, but because their minds are rewiring to feel responsible for themselves. And here's the hardest part. A 2021 study from the University of Michigan found that 71% of adults over 60 feel that their opinions are no longer taken seriously by their children. 71%. That's not a small number. That's a generation of wisdom left unheard. But here's what's even more surprising. When those same adult children were surveyed, nearly half said they actually regret not listening more to their parents. They didn't realize how much they had shut them out until it was too late. This disconnect isn't about disrespect. It's about awareness, or the lack of it. And the good news? Awareness can change. Gently, slowly, but surely. Have you ever tried to give advice and felt dismissed? Leave a comment and tell us how it happened. Did you speak your heart and get silence in return? Or did they just change the subject? Your experience might be what someone else needs to hear to finally understand their own children. And don't go anywhere. The next part will show you a truth that might shift how you carry this pain, and even how you find peace. Let me show you something. Two nearly identical conversations, but with completely different endings. In the first, Harold, a retired carpenter, sits across from his daughter in a diner. He tries to tell her how he managed money during hard times, how he saved every receipt, how he paid off a mortgage on a single income. She interrupts gently. "Dad, things are different now. We use apps. It's not like when you were young." Harold nods, smiles, but inside, something sinks. His story tossed aside, the lesson unopened. Now picture this. In the second version, same diner, same story. But when Harold speaks, his daughter leans in and says, "Really? How did you manage with so little back then? I could learn something." He lights up, not because she's going to follow his every word, but because she listened. The only difference? Receptiveness. Now here's where the contrast gets sharp. In families where children respond with curiosity rather than correction, emotional closeness increases by over 45%, according to a family dynamics study published by Harvard in 2020. 45% just from listening differently. So ask yourself, have your children built a wall of answers before hearing your questions? Have you tried to open up only to be told? That's not how it works anymore. Comment below. What's one piece of wisdom you wish they'd actually take seriously? And if you're still watching, thank you. Because in the next part, we'll talk about something many of us forget. Your voice still matters, even if it's no longer the loudest in the room. There's a moment, one that creeps in quietly, when you start to wonder, what's the point of speaking if no one's listening? But let me tell you something. Silence from others does not silence your worth. Your voice, your experience, your wisdom, they matter. Not because they're always heard, but because they exist. And because someone, somewhere, maybe not today, maybe not even your child, needs them. There's a Japanese term, kataku no ko, the voice of solitude. It describes the things we say into the quiet, believing they vanish. But they don't. Words, like seeds, sometimes fall where we can't see them take root. Maybe your child isn't ready to hear you today. Maybe they're too proud, too busy, too overwhelmed. But that doesn't erase the power of your story. That doesn't mean your lessons vanish. In fact, research in gerontology reveals that older adults who continue to express their life experiences, even without immediate feedback, report a 30% higher sense of life satisfaction than those who suppress their voice. Why? Because storytelling reaffirms identity. It reconnects us with our own journey, regardless of who's listening. So speak. Write. Share. Tell your stories, even if the room is empty. Your legacy isn't measured by the number of ears listening, but by the truth you leave behind. Have you ever told a story, only to be met with silence? Did you still feel it was worth sharing? Leave a comment. Let's remind each other that being heard is important, but being true to yourself is essential. And don't go just yet. In the final part, we'll explore something deeper. How to find peace in this season of life. Not through your children, but within yourself. You've spent a lifetime giving your strength, your time, your sleepless nights. You taught them how to walk, how to speak, how to hold a fork, how to say I'm sorry. And now, in the quiet of your days, you wonder if they even remember who taught them. But here is a truth I hope you carry with you. Your love is not invalidated by their absence. Your wisdom is not erased by their distractions, and your worth is not determined by their replies. There comes a time when peace is no longer found in being needed, but in knowing you were there when it mattered. You showed up. You stood strong. You gave love, even when it wasn't always returned the way you hoped. That is not failure. That is grace. Sometimes, finding peace in this season means turning inward, reconnecting with who you are beyond the role of parent. Because you are still you, still valuable, still vibrant, still full of light. Let your days be filled not with waiting, but with living. Create, walk, write, sing, reach out to those who do listen. Start a journal, share a memory online, pick up the phone and call someone you've lost touch with. And when your children do return, because often they will, you'll greet them not from a place of emptiness, but from fullness. You won't just be waiting to be heard. You'll be whole. Now, I ask you, what does peace mean to you in this chapter of life? Share it in the comments. Your answer could be the very words someone else needs to read today. If this video spoke to your heart, please subscribe. Not just for more stories, but to be part of a community that honors your voice, your journey, your truth. Because your story is not over. In fact, some of the most meaningful pages may still be waiting to be written.